Welcome to the Winners and Losers Show. Hello, everybody. My name is Hank Thompson. I'm the host of the show. I'm going to be the host of the show until all the presidential laugh riots are quelled and suppressed by the jackbooted thugs who were raised to suppress their... okay. All right. That was bad. I should restart. Okay. What I'm getting at is the combining a bunch of things there with that opening. We got some laughs coming up, guys. I've found some of Amy Klobuchar. I don't know how you pick your favorite. I mean, everything she says is unbelievably funny. I have abs. I didn't know she was so funny. And since I discovered it, I have abs just from watching last week's Democratic debate. It's amazing. No, it's not true. I knew she was funny all the time. She's the real Joker. Okay, we don't need that movie starring Joaquin Phoenix coming up soon. We need Klobuchar, okay? Charizard. She is the true master. So that's the laugh part of the laugh riot. And then I was thinking about rioting and the bizarre tweet Mayor Rudy Giuliani sent out on 9/11 showing like a young man becoming a armored police officer guy fighting protesters, which sort of backtracks through his... Like, he was in the military. He played football. He was a high school guy. He was a baby. And just, like, it was just very strange. For some, like, clothing company that brands itself as, like, I don't know, edgy or something like that, which apparently in comedian term means racist. So, we might talk about that a little bit. This guy got fired by SNL. He got hired by SNL. Then it came out he had a whole bunch of racist shit online of him just saying racist things. And then he gets fired. So now, as always, the comedy community tends to rally behind comedians, but this one seems to have split people a bit. Or at least maybe, I don't know how split it is, to be honest. It's not like I'm out there doing surveys, but I do know there's like the older white guys who are like, well, you can't say anything racist, fucking cancel culture, blah, blah, blah. There's definitely issues with too much canceling going on. In the world, people are often forced to face another C word, consequences for their words, often from the distant past or from the recently distant past or whatever. So that's a thing in the culture that's worth examining. I'm not against the idea of breaking down cancel culture. This one doesn't seem to be that ambiguous. It's like the guy said a bunch of really racist stuff that would get you fired from any job. And because you're a comedian, you get to say slightly more. You get slightly more leeway with what you do. And I'm already getting into the whole topic. I honestly don't have any right to fucking say anything. I'm a failed comedian. Who the hell am I to just talk about it? So anyway, I guess that's how you know you're making it when you get canceled. And then a bunch of like rich millionaire comedians defend you. It's just like. Okay. All right. Whatever. We got other stuff. Welcome to the show. Tweet us at Twitter. At Hank_Thompson at Winner Loser Show. I think I'll have it in the description. And Perfect Union, the podcast, the perfect podcast for the perfect country, coming up soon. I've been gathering stories, gathering Twitter links. I'll probably put that one in this description too. I don't remember what. I think it's. I have no idea. I'll be, but I'm working on it. I'm getting the shit together. I got the graphics going, and I'm going to make a thing. Maybe do a Patreon at some point because that's important. That's part of the whole design of what I want to do with a show, with kind of eventually achieving my dream of being able to flame out and not disappoint my boss. I want to flame out and disappoint my listeners. All right, that's the passion that I am pursuing here. So, but that does involve Patreon at some point. So I'm going to be integrating that into this whole effort. So that'll be fun and working hard, man. A little update before we get to the story. I don't really have stories. I'm going to talk about my trip home. I went home. I actually got into a little battle with a very old woman about Trump, which was super random. It's just a very weird story. I don't think I come across all that well in the entire thing. I'm just going to talk about it. And then my time up in Wisconsin, where I did some outdoor stuff like get sunburned and put on sunscreen. Two most common outdoor activities. For whiteys down there at Europetown. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the bum rush update. I'm sure everybody's on toilet seats and needles waiting for this story. I built my first board. I made a board. It's not yet turned into a notch. Doing that soon. And I cut the legs, although I still have to modify it. I'm using 2x4s and old wood, like old redwood from a project from earlier this year. And man, I am just bursting with creativity around this whole thing. I have a whole another design concept that I lack the physics understanding to know if I'll be safe or not, but I'm going to give it a go anyway because I know I can tweak it and stuff. I really want to, help people take smoother shits and have more efficient wipes. It's a revolution. Join the movement. Bum rush. Join the movement. Man. Oh, thank God we all poop. Can you imagine if like only 10% of us pooped? How racist we'd be against those people. Look at that guy. He's one of those poopy. He's one of those poopy butts. A brown paste comes out of his butt once or twice a day. Sometimes it's not even pasty. Okay, this is probably not the kind of podcasting people look for. So that's it. That's the personal updates. Let me see here. I got my page of crap I made notes about to talk about. So let's see. Where do we want to start? Before we get too far into this, let's just go with a little humor. Okay. I hope you have a laugh. I want you to enjoy this with me. This is Amy Klobuchar at the recent Democratic debate, just dropping one of her grand slams. I mean, these things are grand slams plus a triple. That's how I would describe her jokes. This one does not fail to live up to the hype. All right, here we go.
Now, I may not be the loudest person up here, but I think we've already got that in the White House.
Did you hear that? She may not be the loudest person up there, but there's probably someone's already in the White House. Oh, my abs, plural. I can't believe I get to say plural now, thanks to Amy. Oh my God, she's on Lawrence O'Donnell. Hold on, wait a minute. We got Larry O'Donnell talking to Amy Klobuchar. She's probably talking about something really important. I'm going to make me seem like a fucking dickhead here, but let's see what she's talking about.
That the House, who can start an impeachment proceeding, has to obtain. And I did my own request from the Senate Judiciary standpoint, but the House is going to have to get it to make those decisions.
Boring. I'm pretty sure she's talking about what's his face, the one of the Republican rapey guys who's a Supreme Court justice. Which one? There's so many. It's hard to keep count. I mean, of course, of course, we'd have more than one credibly accused of sexual assault Supreme Court justice. So, wait a minute. Hold on. We're now looking at their horse race.
14, Pete Buttigieg at 7, Kamala Harris at 5, Andrew Yang is at 4, and there's Amy Klobuchar at 2, Cory Booker at 2.
Wall Street Journal
what
poll
might be the most important number in the entire poll, only 9% of voters have definitely decided who they're going to vote for. That means 91%.
Yes. Am I going to write Bernie's name in blue pen or I almost said brown pen? Black brown. Wow, that'd be a weird color for a pen, wouldn't it? I don't think I know what to do with myself. All right, so anyway, big thanks to Amy Klobuchar. The Ames, she never misses. Thank you so much for the laugh. Maybe we'll come back to another one later on. The debate, I know it was Thursday, and this is Tuesday, and I'm probably not going to post this till Wednesday, and I probably won't get my YouTube version up until the weekend. So this is all just old shit now. But I'll just talk about that briefly. Don't have any particularly organized notes about it, but I do have some. I did pause the bunch of YouTube links here to play. Stupid format. This is not how any country should govern itself. With this kind of, you get I don't even get 4 minutes. You get 90 seconds to answer, 2 minutes, 1 minute. The moderators just decide. I mean, I know it's not completely arbitrary, but These are enormously complicated topics. These are hugely nuanced and detailed, or at least potentially detailed things. And we're supposed to assess one of these person's fitness for handling these problems based on this weird show, this strange profit-motivated program where everybody's, and to be fair, okay, let me finish that thought. Where everybody's just trying to get a soundbite out, something that goes viral, that gets picked up in the headlines or whatever. They're trying not to do anything stupid, except Joe Biden. He doesn't seem to be able to. Like, what would it be like if he didn't? That's what's so crazy about Joe Biden is this is him trying. This is him regulating himself. So we got one. We're gonna go through Joe's response about how black people just need to put on record players for their kids. It's completely. He caught a lot of flack for this idiotic answer, as he should. Old doddering racist idiot. But the format's ridiculous. There is a place for such a show, an entertainment program, a 3-hour thing like what was on ABC last Thursday. But and so it's not like utterly useless. It just, to me, because it should exist in a constellation of other ways of assessing these people. Like they should be doing like podcasts, bias there or anything, but they should be doing, and actually Bernie's podcast is really good, Hear the Burn, with Brianna Joy Gray. She's a big Star Wars or Star Trek. Oh, fuck, damn it. She's a big Star Trek fan, I've gleaned, and man, that's awesome. But Bernie goes on there too, but like there should be like Beto and Pete. They talk for 2 hours, or somebody interviews one, like and I know these guys are making media appearances constantly, everything. I mean, their whole campaign is media management and getting their messaging out and stuff. So it's a pretty multi-headed hydra kind of thing. But the prominence of these debates is gigantic. Everybody freaks out about them. Media organizations flock to them. They want to be part of the rigmarole, the tomfoolery, the hijinks, there's other words there in that not balderdash. But the weight that we apply to the debates is far too much. I think you could make a case for the kind of influence we give them in the last 2 or 3, or like when it's only 1 or 2 for one debate with one person. When it's only 2 people left or 3 people left or something like that, it's important. But why don't we have 6 hours of where they can take 30 minutes to explain a position? Why not? Well, it's because that doesn't make money. That's not an economic model that works for the kind of resources it takes to put together something like that. Well, it's doable. We don't have to make that's one of the things that's so fucking annoying about this entire thing. And I'm participating in it right now, so I'm a hypocrite. But this whole political process is nuts that we let it go forever. The president's elections, 2 years. It's not like they wait till moment 1 of year 2. They're always campaigning. They're always considering this stuff. And to some degree, probably all politicians throughout the world, throughout history, have in the back of their mind their reelection for sure. No doubt. And that's okay too. We want them to be afraid. We want them to be worried about their jobs. But this whole industry of politics is set up to facilitate corruption in the form of money being spent. The way most campaigns, and I should do some research on this, but my understanding is most campaigns spend most of their money on television advertising. And I imagine that the percentage of digital and online advertising is increasing over time. Plus there's print, and then there's expenses associated with the campaigns too. But so much of this money goes to local news stations and national news stations and just advertising all over the place. Doesn't have to be a news station. So it's just this massive, I wonder, we're in this position where, and this is just one facet of this permanent campaign thing that exists in our country, aside from you hear about representatives, and I think and senators have to this too, where they have to spend a certain number of hours every day doing telemarketing, calling people on their donor lists, calling people in their districts, asking for money, begging for money, making it all about the money. A sane country would have much shorter campaigns. I think Canada I don't know this, but I know that the Canadian presidential election is kicking off, so it's a good reason to look into how politics works up there. And I believe it's like a 6-week or like a 2-month campaign or something for the presidency. There should be limits. It should not be illegal to even breathe a word about campaigning until July or August. Like, so for the presidential election, you get 6 months. Big country, you got to travel around a bunch. Well, okay, we got the internet. That makes travel pretty fast. And of course, financing of the campaigns is absurd. That we just allow these people to be bribed. We allow all this influence to be peddled throughout the entire system, and it creating conditions where only rich people can afford to donate. At least donate to the level where it works. It's one thing. Like when you put a coin in the McDonald's donation thing, how much help are you doing? Well, if you're rich, you can afford 90 cents. Unlike me, 25 cents. You know what I mean? The more money you have, the more you can buy, is my point. I shouldn't have gone with McDonald's charity because I don't know, I suppose they probably do good. But also, fuck all corporations. I'm not trying to say McDonald's is fine. The way these places greenwash, is that it? That's not the right word. You know what I mean? But they use charity to mask the real harm that they're all causing by exploiting their workers, concentrating their profits in the hands of the few, and extracting resources and polluting the world, all for short-term quarterly profit making. And so they call themselves a charity, or they'll do some light charity, and it's good that it helps anybody. Yes, that's great, but how about a world where we don't need charity, where we don't have this deficit? I know that sounds insane. What a maniac! He thinks there shouldn't be charity. No, I don't. I mean, yes, that's right. I don't think there should be charity. It should all be taken care of ahead of time. We're centuries away from this, by the way. So, and then you can do your own charity. I'm not like, this isn't a position where I would shame someone for doing good and doing charity. I'm saying we have the money and the ingenuity and the emotional infrastructure, because human beings are made to help each other, to fix just about all the problems. I'm not saying we make life perfect for anybody. I'm not saying you eliminate grief. You don't eliminate heartache. You don't eliminate sadness, especially considering how much momentum there is behind, the ways people operate. But we could fix hunger. We could solve global warming to create a stable environment. We could provide housing for everybody. We could create conditions where not a single person has to live a life without dignity. And then, of course, because people are genetically variable and there'll still be mental illness, there'll still be, but then you work on the areas that need improving. It's not like we're following a rational, and in some ways progress does seem to happen, although it's definitely not happening fast enough, especially with the environmental clock that's ticking down, that time bomb of global warming. Although it's already happening. It's not like it's a singular event. But we have the power to fix all this stuff. I kind of just lost my train of thought there. So, all right, let's get into Biden here now. This is his response. I don't actually remember exactly. Bernie's going on about healthcare. I love Bernie. I shook his hand once. It was awesome. He's taller than you think. He's like 6'1". He looks like he's probably, 3'9". But no, he's right up there with me. I was like, motherfucker, this guy's tall, nice, and soft hands too, real soft. Weirdly though, he did have the word "burn" tattooed on his knuckles. It's not something the cameras pick up. And on his other hand, it says "feel the" on his knuckles, because he's got 7. Is that 7? 7 fingers? No, 8, because there's one that has a space. Okay, let's hear Bernie. Go, Bernie. Wait, hold on, I'm going to turn the volume up.
Despite that.
Oh, fuck. Lawrence O'Donnell, shut up. Hit the mute on that one. Here we go.
And the insurance companies. And to tell you how absurd the system is, tonight on ABC, the healthcare industry will be advertising, telling you how bad Medicare for all is because they want to protect their profits. That is absurd.
I like that he's saying that. I wish he could hit pause on the world, and so he could explain you see, they can afford to pay the stations to put propaganda up because that serves both their business model and the business model of so-called news organizations. And that, don't trust information from the place that, like I'm not going to trust my arsonist when I ask him how to not put out fires. I don't think any of that made any sense. But you know what I'm saying. Don't get your information like that's what's so weird about political advertising, how it works, particularly negative stuff where people get their information about the opponent from the opponent's about their candidate or about a candidate from their opponent. Not exactly trustworthy, not exactly somebody who you can rely upon, even if they cite. It's like do research, learn about it, educate yourself, read books, pay attention, build a context, build a framework for understanding how this crap works. Try to think about the incentives that drive most of this behavior. That's what I'm doing, and I get it wrong. I mean,
Respond, George.
You get a response, and then we're going to broaden out the discussion.
Okay.
Former Chief of Staff George Stephanopoulos, former Chief of Staff of the Clinton White House. So one of those guys that made the jump from bullshitting in the White House to bullshitting outside the White House. But still, it's all the same fucking people.
Number one, my health care plan does significantly cut the cost of largest out-of-pocket.
Number one, my health care plan does cover bleeding orifice size. See, back when I was a kid, I had orifices, and they would bleed. Especially my second anus up between my shoulder blades, which was the style at the time. Simpsons reference.
Payment you'll pay is $1,000. You'll be able to get into anyone who can't afford it gets automatically enrolled in the Medicare type option we have, et cetera.
Medicare type option. That word type is doing a lot of lifting there. Plus, it's only $1,000. If you can't afford it, it's going to cost $1,000 to everybody. As if we all have that laying around. Don't trust a single fucking word this idiot says, by the way. Trust him. Take him. Okay. He is accidentally being honest by being so obviously bullshitting. So trust that. But he ain't doing any of this crap if he becomes president. He's not going to write the bill. The insurance industry will. The people who've paid him his whole life will. He's defending them. This is who he's working for. Let's keep going.
But guess what?
What?
Of the 160 million people who like their health care now, they can keep it. If they don't
I like my health scare now.
like it, they can leave. Number one. Number two, the fact of the matter is we're in a situation where, if you notice, he hadn't answered the question. This is about candor, honesty, big ideas. Well, let's have a big idea. The tax of 2% that the senator's talking about?
Okay, now it's a three-shot where it's Warren on the right, Bernie on the left, and Joe right in the middle. He's kind of gesturing towards Warren. So he's getting into big ideas.
That raises about $3 billion. Guess what? That leaves you about $28 billion.
Okay, missing all the numbers. Those aren't the numbers. I don't have them in front of me to respond directly, but there was a study commissioned. It was actually like a libertarian or conservative think tank, I believe, AEI, American Enterprise Institute, I think, that found that Medicare for all would cost like 32.7 or 32.3 trillion. But the actual cost currently is 33 trillion, like more, by several $100 billion over 10 years or over a certain amount of time. So some of the numbers you'll hear, it's in the low $30 trillion range. I think that's for 10 years. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure that's true though. But yeah, he's messing up what he was saying about Warren's $3 billion, saying that her 2% tax over $50 million. It should be 100% over $50 million. Or it should be like, this is the wealth tax Elizabeth Warren has proposed, where every dollar over $50 million you pay 2 cents of 2% above $50 million. I love it. I'm all for it. About fucking time. These rich assholes have been just hoarding wealth, just extracting other people's value, stealing people's life energy, life worth in terms of by making them work, not paying them enough. They have to live diminished lives with reduced potential, with more stress, poor health care, very little leisure time to enjoy any of it, just enough to get by and buy the occasional ice cream sundae, perhaps, while these rich fucks have been just scraping away at the bottom of the barrel, taking as much as they possibly can get out of it, and it's working for them because they have all the power. Again, they can afford to bribe the politicians. What the fuck? What am I talking about right here? Oh, that's right. I was clicking the wrong mouse there. I got two mice, guys. That's how much I care about y'all. 2% above 50 million. So how about 60 million? 3%. 70 million? 4%. 80 million? Let's graduate this shit up. Progressive taxation. 100 million? 100%. You hear me? It's funny. Like, I've recently kind of, and by that I mean like in the last 3-4 years, developed this animosity at these rich people. And I'm not talking about some jagoff who earns himself a couple $1 million, started a business, or saved his money, or invested smartly. I'm talking about a woman who, becomes a doctor, she makes some good financial choices, whatever, and earns a few $1 million, even $10 million. I'm not talking about them. And $50 million is like, I think, an obscene amount. I think $10 million seems pretty obscene. The average person, this is a research from the University of Indiana in 2009, so said that, or found that the average American with a college degree will earn $1.8 million in their lifetime, assuming a 40-year working career. So $10 million is over 5 times that. That seems a little obscene to me, but I'd like to have $10 million. I'd be pretty annoyed if you took all my $10 million away from me. But once you start climbing past that, and you could convince me to lower this number too, but once you start climbing past 10 million, what the fuck do you really need that shit for, man? Honestly, no, I've just given it some more thought. It should be 200,000. No one should ever have more than $200,000. No, I don't know. But like, the higher it goes, so 50. It's wonderful that Elizabeth Warren's proposing a 2% tax on wealth above $50 million, and it's also absurd that that's wonderful because it is not very much. It will raise a lot of money. And I've even seen some stuff like, if that'd been in there since Jeff Bezos, is becoming a billionaire all these years, he'd only be worth 70-something billion now. Yeah, good. That's 70-something billion more than he needs. He needs $75,000 to be happy, to afford a vacation and an extra large ice cream sundae, and he can go fuck himself. No, but he's fine. He'll be fine. We could take away most of his money. We could take away 99% of his money. He'll still be a billionaire. So I think we should cut it off, though. Maximum wealth, maximum asset control. $100 million seems reasonable. You want to argue for a little higher? Okay, $500 million. The world would be a much better place if we didn't allow anybody to acquire more than $500 million. All right, $1 billion. I won't go any higher than that. Okay. Bob Barker. I don't know what that is, but $1 more or some shit. So anyway, Elizabeth Warren's taxes is great. Joe Biden here, he decides to just dog that in the middle of his speech as they're in the middle of a healthcare kind of thing going on here. So all right, let's keep going.
Short. The senator said before it's going to cost you in your pay. There will be a deductible in your paycheck. The middle class person, someone making 60 grand with 3 kids, they're going to end up paying $5,000 more. They're going to end up paying 4% more on their income tax. That's a reality. Now it's not about.
I like when Bernie wants to speak. He's very polite, so he doesn't. Occasionally, he can't help himself, but he just sort of waves his hand, kind of. I'm next. I want to talk to him next. Motherfucker.
Idea if you like it. I don't like it.
Okay, now I want everybody to keep.
Okay, so he's saying that people who make $60,000 are going to pay $5,000 more. I don't have that number breakdown in front of me. I would gladly pay more taxes if I can go see a fucking doctor. I don't have health insurance. It would be nice if I did. And people who do have employer-based health insurance, some of them are okay with it because they're afraid. And I don't blame people for being afraid that they're going to lose it. And that's why you see these fearmongers, most of these centrists, these moderate Democrats running against Bernie and Warren. And I have issues with the way Warren's proposing healthcare too. I think she's trying to play it a little bit. She's being a little too cute. There's a lot of positive things to say about Warren, and if Bernie weren't in the race, it wouldn't be as obvious because he draws a real clean line of comparison, but we'll get into that topic again. I'd be so happy if Warren becomes president. Don't get me wrong, but in the current state of this process, this phase, it's hard to be persuaded by her mealy mouth bullshit on healthcare, and I got some trouble with her foreign policy stuff compared to Bernie. So that's where it comes down. I know there's a big discussion about these two, so I hope to revisit it another time. By the way, this should be just the fucking first episode of Perfect Union, the political show I want to do that I'm doing. I mean, I was going to talk about meditating on a kayak. That was my plan for this episode. We'll get to it. So yeah, if the only bill you'll ever see for your health care is taxes that you pay already, and it goes up a little, but you never spend a single dime, perhaps, a lot of the countries with nationalized health care, sometimes it's like, oh, their prescription medicine is $5. Their prescription medicine is $20. Like, okay, small things. Even that, I'm not all that thrilled with, but I understand why there might be need for some of that. It's this massively complex system, so I wouldn't just draw a line around absolutely zero. But if the only bill you ever really see for your health insurance is just your taxes that you pay, and there's people in this world who spend they from the moment they're born till they're put back in the womb when they die. I wish that's how it worked. They never see a bill. They never have to call a health insurance company. They never have to beg. They never have to ask. They don't have to live with any of that stress. I don't know why Bernie doesn't talk about stress more. Just the cost of stress. The amount of lost productivity. Even capitalism suffers when stress levels are high. But the suicide, the addiction rate, all this stuff is all stress related. And it's not entirely caused by healthcare, but it's largely. That is such an enormous buoyancy factor in this stress balloon that's causing all us humans to have such trouble here. I was going to say something about porpoises there. Let's listen to Biden some more.
Keep to the time, but you did invoke both senators. I have to get responses from them. Then we will go on out.
Good.
Senator Warren, you go first.
So let's be clear. I've actually never met anybody who likes their health insurance company.
Great point. People don't like their health insurance company. They like their doctors. They like their, nurse, their fucking, teeth scraping people.
I've met people who like their doctors. I've met people who like their nurses. I've met people who like their pharmacists. Met people who like their physical therapists. What they want.
Cuts to Joe Biden. He's hovering, speaking tongues, having a satanic moment.
Is access to health care. And we just need to be
Cuts back to him and he's just totally fine.
clear about what Medicare for All is all about. Instead of paying premiums into insurance companies and then having insurance companies build their profits by saying no to coverage, we're going to do this by saying everyone is covered by Medicare for All. Every health care provider is covered. And the only question here in terms of difference is where to send the bill.
Senator
Nailed it.
Sanders.
Let us be clear, Joe. In the United States of America,
Let us be clear, Joe.
we are spending twice as much per capita on health care as the
Okay, so listen for what you're about to hear. Joe Biden is going to say something that just fucking enrages me. Bernie's making a good point. Elizabeth Warren made good points. But, it's not about where, Elizabeth Warren says it's about where the bill goes to, who pays. And Bernie's talking about how it'll be less. It'll be less. Like, it also shows you how fucking insulting it is that these Buttigieg's and Betos and Bidens and Klobuchars, how little they think of the voters, that they can't understand concepts like you'll spend less money and you'll get better care. You'll just give it to the government and everything will be available to you.
Canadians or any other major country on earth.
This is America.
Okay. You heard that right. So, okay.
Yeah, but Americans don't want to pay twice as much as other countries.
Okay, let me just rewind. 10-second rewind here.
On health care as the Canadians or any other major country on earth.
This is America.
Oh, you motherfuck. Okay. All right. This America. So the tone he says that. Okay, he heard Canadians and other countries. He heard, so this is Biden reflexively, because this works. Unfortunately, American voters are often stupid like this, where they hear some kind of insistence on America's exceptional, the bright shining city on a hill that Reagan borrowed from the Bible, I think, or some shit. But all throughout the political spectrum, voters are pandered to with this bullshit. We're America. You just say it like that. America. What, so you just get to fucking take more than twice the amount of money that you spend, that other countries spend, and give me worse care? Because America. Like, how is that an answer? What does that have to do with anything? Bernie's talking about other countries, the way they work. Like this idea that we can't, it's called benchmarking. At least that's what I remember from business school. You look at other companies, you see what they're doing well, and you benchmark. You say, that's a good thing. Let's model something after that. It's called learning from other people, other countries. It's ridiculous to even insinuate that we shouldn't look at what other countries do. Yeah, why not? They're groups of people figuring out their shit. And America is so fucking far behind, which is a little simplistic. It's not that linear. But so Joe Biden, kiss my ass, man.
Yeah, but Americans don't want to pay twice as much as other countries.
Yeah, and he just stands there with this sort of like, I said it. Like he knows he's being filmed at a debate. But like that posture, that's probably one of the things that's kind of charming about Bernie and also other politicians who come off a little more authentic. I'd say Warren comes off pretty authentic too. Buttigieg is, I think he's very good at hiding how inauthentic he is. But Kamala Harris too, like she'll have moments where she seems extremely, and then just sort of slip into the politician brain. Software will load up, and she does that a lot too. Cory Booker, I'm just randomly firing off thoughts here, but I think he has a lot of gifts. I think he's a really charismatic guy. He knows he's got poise. He stands still. Like he's good at his job. Like he seems to have, by that I mean like he has a lot of traits that make one capable politician, but it just looks like he's trying. You can tell. He's really selling it. His performance is obvious. And so maybe Bernie comes off like he's not performing. I bet he is more than we think. He gets to give the same speech over and over and over. I've been to 3 or 4 of his speeches. So to some degree, they all have to perform. It's true of comedy. It's sort of a trick you learn in stand-up is to make it seem, not that you necessarily want to think it's your first time thinking of it, but people often say, oh, this looks like you're up there talking. You're up there having fun. When in fact, it's an extremely refined script / gear system operating that joke and how it's working, including all the silence and all the not silence. So, but Bernie does come off much more authentic than that. Biden is such a... It just frustrates me that people fall for Biden's act. I think most people who are for him, though, are just looking for somebody that's familiar. They associate with Obama. They associate less stress with Obama because it wasn't Trump. And so they see the guy who Obama picked to tell white people that it's okay because this racist old idiot Biden is okay with Obama. Therefore, it's safe enough to have a black guy be president. That was the role Biden served in the Obama administration. Let's just do this one more time.
And they care as the Canadians or any other major country on earth.
This America.
Yeah, but
this America. We take advantage of our people. We treat our citizens like a resource to be mined and harvested. This America. This America. We don't look out for each other. We look out for other rich people. You want to have health care? You get out, you start a business and you start exploiting people like the rest of us. You make a bunch of money and then you'll still have a very stressful healthcare system because even rich people fucking hate their health insurance when they have to use it. This America. Fuck off. God, I hate that shit. All right, let's keep going.
Americans don't want to pay twice as much as other countries.
Let's play a little bit.
And they guarantee health care to all people. Under my Medicare for All proposal, when you don't pay out of pocket and you don't pay premiums, maybe you have run into people who love their premiums. I haven't. What people want is cost-effective health care. Medicare for All will save the average American substantial sums of money on his or her health care bill.
Cuts to Biden and his upper butthole is just squirting out pea soup. Okay, let's see what do we got next here. That's fun. You guys having fun? Where are we at? Oh my God, man, we're burning through this shit. It's Tuesday. What time is it? It's like 8 o'clock. All right. Oh yeah, here's Buttigieg talking. Well, you know what? Before we jump to Buttigieg, dangerous. He's fucking creepy Stepford husband. The only positive, well, the only, I guess, well, actually, yeah, it is. It's like, it's amazing where we've come on gay rights. Buttigieg is an openly gay man. His husband, Chasten, I think, they're adorable. They have a great relationship. And Buttigieg even, his personal story is like it came out kind of late and blah, blah, blah. And it was hard for, and that's not something I would dishonor, but I like that it doesn't matter at all. I'm almost like, I don't know what even bring it up, but it's worth celebrating. It's worth pointing out because it's important. Look at this culture. And oh man, I'm watching The Family on Netflix. Oh God, I got through episode 4. The right wing, these Christian demagogues here in America, they're losing culture battles in America, but they're exporting it. They're going all over the world, working with dictatorships, developing and coaching and training the right wings of smaller nations and getting them to, like in Romania, is one of the countries they profiled in the series, getting them to pass anti-gay laws. And working in Nigeria, it was like violent. They were going to murder anybody who was gay and the right. It's like these guys are dangerous. They're fucking this conservatism, this religiously motivated extremism that, especially it's the American brand of it. They're violent and dangerous. It's scary, and they're losing here, so they're going to just go do it out in the rest of the world. It's scary. It's bizarre. Well, it's not bizarre. It's business as usual because this planet's filled with psychos. All right, here. Before Buttigieg, I think we could all use a little palate cleanser. Maybe your ab is wearing off. Let's listen to Klobuchar hit another grand slam dunk. Okay, hit it.
And while Bernie wrote the bill, I read the bill. And on
she read the bill. Whoa. It's hard to pretend. It's fucking hard. All right, so here's Buttigieg going on. I don't know why I'm doing all this fucking. I still got to talk about my meditating on a kayak and this old lady at my mom's building who I yelled at about Trump. I didn't yell at her. I just turned. It just was. Okay. All right.
Is that it doesn't trust the American people.
Oh yeah, here he is.
I trust you to choose what makes the most sense for you.
So his angle on the healthcare is, if you give Medicare for all of the people, if you let them see any doctor they want, I mean, if the doctor can see them too, it's not like you just get to force it. If you allow people to see physicians, dentists, ophthalmologists, proctologists, anybody you want, and they don't have to pay for it, and they can do it without stress. If you allow that, that just shows that we don't trust them. We don't trust you. We don't want to tell people we don't trust them. That's why we're going to trust you to make a decision between competing profit-driven entities that have refined the process of saying no and making sure that you cannot get the care that you need because it will affect their bottom line. We trust you to do that. We don't trust you to see a doctor that you don't have to be overwhelmingly stressed about.
Not my way or the highway. Now, look.
That's what I write. It's my way or the highway. Americans don't want to see a doctor. They want to go to the highway. I mean, my way. I'm about to cough. Here, hold on a second.
That Bernie wasn't very good. I could do better Bernie than that. I did earlier.
Is that it doesn't trust the American people.
Rewound it.
I trust you to choose what makes the most sense for you. Not my way or the highway. Now, look, I think we do have to go.
Look, I'm just reasonable. I'm articulate and reasonable. By the way, did you know I can say go fuck yourself in 8 different languages? That's right. I'm Pete Buttigieg. Everybody wants to adopt me. See, I know how to put large words together. I'm very circumloquacious. I'm lexicon.
Far beyond tinkering with the ACA, I propose Medicare for all who want it.
Medicare for all who want it. Yeah, you know what I want, Mayor South Bend, Indiana? Not you. We will never have a president, Mayor Pete. Get out of here. All right, one more. This is Beto O'Rourke. I just think this guy drives me crazier than Mayor Pete. Okay? Mayor Beto. First of all, run for Senate, you fucking idiot. What's wrong with you? Egotistical bastard with that Ronald Reagan portrait photo on that magazine. Born for this. This guy looks at himself in the mirror and he's mad he's not in the White House. Kiss my ass, Beto. He's more annoying than Pete Buttigieg, honestly, but he's pissed about this El Paso shooting, where I think 26 people. You lose track of the mass murders here in America, and rightfully so. He's got deep roots in that community, and I get it. I get that he's mad, but I do really like. I heard someone on a podcast I was listening to say, like, if he stays in the race and just talks about this gun thing, that's great. Like, it's good, and I agree. I agree with that. I think that's a smart insight. That, like, because we do need to do something about these guns, and everybody's afraid to say we should take the guns. We should buy back the guns. We should shame gun ownership. We should shame it like cigarette usage. Like, that's my approach. I would take like a cigarette model of these things are. I mean, honestly, I'd like to just fucking ban the Second Amendment. Why are we just letting tens of thousands of people get murdered every year because of some ancient scribe in the Constitution? It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's also the word well-regulated is in it. We don't regulate anything. Oh yeah, but we got background checks. No, we have murders. My number is 0. What's your number? We have 35,000 a year. 20,000 suicides, 12,000 murders, homicides, and like 3,000 accidents. Something like that. It's usually around that ratio. I want that number to be 0. What are you okay with? You okay with 8,000? I'm fine with 8,000 killings. Yeah, that's okay. 4,500 suicides, 2,300. Like what? It's insane. Guns are out. Okay. As I've explained in previous episodes, I grew up with guns. I was in the NRA as a teenager. I was given a gun for Christmas when I turned 13, when I was 13 years old. I've shot guns. I understand guns, and that's why I'm against them. And I would shoot guns again. They're fun. But anyway, so I'm glad Beto's around, and he's saying stuff like this.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, shit, it's on fast speed. All right. Do people really watch it? I was just doing it because I was in a hurry. I just didn't have time. Right here.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Yes, listen to that cheer. Thank you, Beto.
I want to say this.
Never thought I'd say that. I am now officially a Beto-phile. I shouldn't have put that. BETO hashtag. I was hoping like he would become a big guy, and then like they would call themselves Beto-philes. But totally take especially those like AK-47s, AR-15. These are the inventor of the AR-15, who's no longer alive. But his children have said he didn't intend this to be used by civilians. He didn't intend for this. It's a war gun. It's a weapon of war. And we shouldn't be fucking shooting everybody all over the world either. It's worth saying. But I'm glad Beto's doing this. I'm glad he's saying, hell yes, we're going to take your guns. That is such an important thing to hear politicians say. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a long time. That's why I was suggesting the cigarette model. Like, we should just treat these things like the public nuisance that they are and try to reduce. If we can't outright ban them, like they did in New Zealand, like they did in Australia, and do aggressive buybacks. Spend a lot of money. Fucking buy them back. It would save lives. And I know I'm not naive to think we'll ever get the number to 0, especially in this country with 300 plus. There's more guns than people here. The most heavily armed per capita nation on the planet. And it's going to get real fucking weird. I'll be stunned if when Trump loses, I'll be stunned first it's iffy that he'll concede at all. So it'll be insane. Whatever happens during that period will be very tense. But I'll be shocked if there's not violence. Either he'll call for it directly, which he more or less does. I mean, yeah, he literally does. But especially in the months leading up to it, and there'll, who knows if, there'll be some sort of attack or some sort of, international incident that they take advantage of, or some sort of domestic thing. I mean, they're going to be out full force. I mean, the grifters who run the Republican Party and who command, and the Republican media apparatus, the ones who really command the influence over their people, because they know there's extremely heavily armed followers of theirs that could be provoked into showing up with their weapons, but it'll definitely lead to greater violence. I'd be shocked if it doesn't happen. I wish I wasn't completely correct about that. All right, let's cheer ourselves up here with a little bit of some Klobuchabs. That's what I call my abs here. I can even see the lines between them. You know how it looks like a bunch of big flat ribs. Here we go.
And he is treating our farmers and our workers like poker chips.
Ah, man, I ruined it. Hold on. I thought I changed the autoplay to the speed play. I thought that was a universal setting, not just per. What's going on, YouTube?
What he has done here, he has assessed these tariffs on our allies. He has put us in the middle of this trade war, and he is treating our farmers and our workers like poker chips in one of his bankrupt casinos.
Yes. Like one of poker chips, like one of his bankrupt casinos. Woo! Oh man. Whoa. Oh, I didn't think I'd get so much cardio out of this. That's brilliant. Just brilliant stuff. Just brilliant. What if like a binder just whacked me in the head? Just cut the top like quarter of my head off. Just like a nice, clean, smooth cut. She's violent. She throws stuff at her employees. Anybody who's a shitty boss, I don't think so. All right? We don't have any time for bad bosses anymore, even though they make movies celebrating them called Horrible Bosses. Or was that a show? I don't know. So, all right. That's enough of that shit. Actually, let's just burn through it. I got a couple more here.
It's, that movie The Day After Tomorrow.
Fuck, should have checked on it. She's talking about The Day After Tomorrow. Always up for a good, what's his face? Jake Gyllenhaal and the guy, nice guy, brown hair. Not Bill Paxton. I don't know. Maybe it is him. I can't fuck it. Anyway, here she goes.
That movie The Day After Tomorrow? It's today.
Yes, it's today. That movie was a bit of an exaggeration, but actually it is fucked up. It's sad that's true. I was hoping she said Existenz. What if she was talking about that movie? Where people do like virtual reality with like organic VR headsets or some shit. I don't know. Remember that movie?
We have seen a...
Okay, get out of here. All right, so, one more. Sorry, I know this is random. Let's just do it. Hold on. Learn. Okay, playback speed's at normal.
Which is good. On day 4, 5, and 6.
Okay, so she's answering the question, what would you do during your first week? And she's got a real big one. I'm glad we're ending on this one. Because this is an ace strike slam run that if I've ever seen one. Okay, just a boom. Like she just pressed the B button at the exact right time.
I will, working with Congress and mayors and business people all over the country, introduce sweeping legislation to get at that 2050 goal. And on day 7, you're supposed to rest, but I won't.
Senator Warren.
On day 7, you're supposed to rest, but I won't. She gives a nice little smile there. What I hate myself so much. All right, so thank you, Amy. Nice work. It'd be fun watching you fail. Terrible politician, milquetoast bullshit, centrist crap. Now, like if she was that way, but she didn't take corporate money and just was like just a person who had these convictions, I would give her a pass. But she's not. None of them are, except Bernie and Warren. And she's even. I think Warren is suggesting she'll take PAC money in the general if she wins a nomination. I don't know. That's not a direct quote. I'd like to learn more. That's a long ways away, so I'm not going to hit her for that yet. But you're taking corporate money. You're just conducting a transaction. It's that simple. I'm sorry. There's no other way to describe it. Yes, it might be necessary. You might be able to make the case it's necessary because we have this absurd campaign system that goes on forever, that props up the local TV business, so that these news channels that are charged with serving the public good, they're incentivized to maintain this structure. They're never going to do reports about how this is bad for America, that these campaigns raise all this money and funnel it into these local news stations. We need to deconsolidate media massively. It's ridiculous. Fucking Bill Clinton with your telecommunications bill. Pronounce that weird. All right, so there's the politics for the night. I think that's plenty. Wasn't even planning on talking politics. I'll talk about the old lady another time. That's a fun story. I don't know. But let's see, what else is there? We're at an hour or so. Real quick, I just a shout out to my fellow stress heads out there, which is probably everybody. And one thing that I really love is meditation. I don't do it often enough. I haven't done it in probably 2 or 3 weeks right now. I should do it tonight. But actually, yeah, so the last time I did it was in Wisconsin. I went home for a trip. Always nice to go home, you know? You get away from where you live, and then you sleep in a bed that's not as comfortable, and then you appreciate your bed when you come back. I think that might be one of the main reasons people travel. But it's good to get away. It's good to get a break, see the family, say hi, tell some Trump-supporting old bat that's neighbor of my mom. I didn't tell her how terrible she is, but I made it clear how terrible I think people who support Trump are. And I'm fortunate enough, my family has a lake house in Wisconsin. My great-grandpa built it in the 30s or some shit. So it's like kind of this sort of rundown house, but the property's beautiful, and we have a beach. Not a beach, Jesus Christ. Shoreline. That's the word I'm looking for. God. So anyway, we have a kayak up there, and one of my favorite things to do. I love it. So I wish I did it the whole time, although we were only out there about four days. But I waited till the last day. It was a beautiful, perfect day. One of those, God's pussy kind of days. You know what I mean? Just a stunning. Sorry if you have kids listening to this, everybody. Didn't mean to. You should know better. Just a stunt. Here's how great it was. Comfortable in pants. That's the perfect temperature. 68 degrees or so, upper 60s, but sunny, like where you're in the sun and you're not super hot because you're in the sun. So I load up the kayak. Those things are tricky. I'm not a big kayaking guy. I don't really know all the moves, other than I have muscles and I know how to coordinate them into repeated activities that can transport me. I've canoed a bunch as a kid and here and there, but I'd love to be a kayak guy. I think it'd be great. You get nice big arms. But I'm pretty confident in a kayak. I'm a good swimmer. I used to do adult swimming. Want to get back to doing even older adult swimming now that it's been a while. And I just love getting out there on my own. And this day was beautiful. I was going around looking at tree stumps. The water level was a little lower than usual, so the tree stumps that normally you go to and the fallen logs and stuff, you see even more of that. But it wasn't windy. Or it was just enough wind to be noticeable, but not enough to be wavy. So you could see under the water. You could see the sun illuminating. I was gliding over. It's just late August, early September, so the weeds, all the foliage, underwater foliage, has all had a chance. Flora, foliage, fauna is the animals. Flora is the living stuff. Foliage. It's all grown in, which is really annoying for fishing. But it's beautiful if you're down at kayak level, looking down, and just seeing all the little fish swimming around, and it's like there's this whole world that you get to experience. And I was really feeling connected to nature and just appreciating being out there, being by myself. I picked some rocks out, which I was probably not allowed or some crap, but I bring it back from my aquarium. Some cool rocks. So it's amazing how these rocks, it's like granite, these forces that mold them together, that form these interesting shapes that combine different minerals and materials in the crust of the earth, and then somehow they just sit there in a lake forever, waiting for a guy like me to find them. Didn't find any Gollum rings. I'm always hoping to find the one ring to rule them all, so I could turn into a real nut. But you know, it's a real, I guess, I don't know, spiritual is the right word. Secular spirit, but like it just feels good to be out. You can go places where you don't normally go. I was like into the weeds because when you're in a boat, you got the motor, you got a bunch. It's a pain in the ass to get into the weeds, and you're just fishing anyway. So you just sort of stay weed adjacent and kind of cast into it, and you get, you know, you go, oh crap, got a green bass, Dad. Good one, son. Way to go. You should have never tried comedy 10 years ago, you fucking idiot. I just assume that's his inner monologue. But weeds are really obnoxious. But in this experience, I was just like, I was paddling through there's the reeds. Those are like the tall ones, the cattails and that stick straight up. You can go places you can't normally go in a boat. And so I was just enjoying it. I was even looking at like, what are they called? Lily pads in the sun, like lifting them out of the water. They've got this incredible structure of the veins inside them. And I was just really connecting to nature and feeling bonded. And I've only done this once before because I've only been meditating for a few years. So I decided I'm going to meditate in the kayak. And like the first time, I knew it's kind of a weird thing because you can kind of like park yourself up against something or sort of jam your nose into the weeds and you'll probably stay where you are. But I picked a spot next to the weeds knowing that I would drift around a little bit. It's kind of cool to wake up. You don't really wake up, but you sort of come out of it after about 10 minutes and you're not where you were. So you're slightly moved. And that's really strange. You know, I'm sure people who are like, you know, physically violent accidents or something where they wake up in a hospital, this is like a really pleasant version of that on a much smaller scale. So it's sort of, and I don't know, you know, you get into that little like nature. Meditation's very, you know, sometimes it doesn't really feel like much. Sometimes it feels like an awful lot. But it generally, the theme is being present, right? Mindfulness, being in the moment. And if you're in nature, you're present with what your brain is designed to process because of evolution. It just goes back hundreds of millions of years. We didn't have walls to look at. We didn't have furniture. We didn't have chairs. That's why I'm doing the bum rush. I want people pooping like our monkey ancestors and their lizard ancestors and their that lizard salamander ancestors. Ancestors. That's hard to say. Weirdly, that is very hard to say. Ancestors. God, no wonder I can't ever get a fucking career. It's almost time to go. You know, I've been paddling around, taking pictures, making little videos and stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do with any of it. I should probably publish it somewhere, put it out there. Maybe I can get some fucking likes or something. Oh, it's so gross. And I meditate. So I pull up to this little spot where I'm out of the way. And I don't want to just do it in the middle of the lake. It's a big bay, basically. It's a pretty large lake that the place is on. And but I'm just feeling really relaxed. I'm feeling really comfortable. I backed up, you know, like everything's good. And so I meditate, pull myself in, do my thing, feel it all. I'm not going to use the app. Sometimes I usually use a guided app, but I've done it enough to know the routine. Not that there's any right or wrong way, but I get to the place I want to be. You know, one thing you do get better at with meditating is kind of how quickly you sort of shift your gear. You know, sort of the first phase of meditation to me is just learning how to kind of, not that those gears are even there, and then learning how to kind of, you know, like a 10-speed bicycle, like, and then your chain gets stuck, and you go, oh no, now I got to touch it with my fingers. I don't know, finger's gonna have grease on it. Oh, it's so annoying. But when you do it a bunch, and you kind of get good at sort of like you get greasy. Your gears get lubey up, right? So now I'm meditating, feeling great, and really just appreciating where I'm at. Very very, very standard meditation in a good way. Like I felt distractions, I had thoughts coming. I don't freak out about the thoughts. You just like either acknowledge them, you note them as either a thought or a feeling. If that's what you're doing, that's a technique called noting, or you just sort of allow the thought to move on. My voice is like fading. So I do it. I'm so grateful to be at that place at that time, all alone. I mean, I know it's not like I was on the other side of the moon, but experiencing this connection with nature, and I was so like that was the last thing I was going to do and go inside. I was going to get dinner. I was starting to feel a little hungry. I was looking forward to eating and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a nice night. The sunset, it's looking like it's going to have a beautiful, one of those not rainbow, but, pinks and oranges and reds, and just so the sunsets out there can be absolutely stunning. And I come out of meditation, I open my eyes, and the first thing I see in the weeds is a floating piece of plastic. It's a black round cap, like bigger than like the cap of spray paint kind of thing, but like a little bigger. So some sort of container cap just floating there. And I'd been running around in the weeds like for the last 3 or 4 hours, playing with just filming stuff, looking at crap, touching rocks, wishing I had a girlfriend to share it with, all the usual stuff you do when you kayak. And this fucking it's like it didn't ruin it, but it was just a moment. It'd be like a scene in a movie about a sensitive man. You've probably seen you delete for the movie, to be honest. It's probably not that interesting. But I just looked at that cap and just like, yeah, that's Earth for you. Not that this is the worst consequence I've ever paid or anybody would ever pay. A lot of people are suffering much greater under environmental catastrophe than having to look at a piece of plastic floating after meditating in the weeds in a lake in northern Wisconsin. But God damn it, I didn't want to see that cap. A world without plastic, okay? Get rid of it. Well-regulated caps, no plastic. So it was just gross and ugly. So what did I do? I grabbed the plastic and brought it back. And as I pulled up, I gave it to my dad, because he was helping me like get out of the boat, like grabbing my shit. Like, here, Dad, here's a piece of driftwood I found. Oh, great, driftwood. That looks cool. Here's plastic. Oh, plastic. Yep, you got plastic. So that was that. And but that's what people are, man. We're litterers. What about that kayak I was in? That's a lot more plastic. That's like many thousands of plastic straws worth, if way more than that. I mean, big heavy plastic thing, and I don't think all plastic is itself evil, but it's a really good material. It doesn't stain. You guys can, but it's moldable and bendable and it lasts forever. And well, that's exactly the problem. Is it lasts forever? Nothing in nature is supposed to last forever. So I don't know how good a story that is. Starting to have my usual cascade of regret here as I'm wrapping up, but that's okay. You know what? Thanks for listening. I appreciate your attention, and hope that you're enjoying your time here. If you're still listening, I appreciate it. Thanks for staying tuned. We're just getting our legs under us over here at Winners and Losers HQ as we get going with Perfect Union and some other stuff. Let's see. Let's pick a fun. How about a fun drop?
Are you a gang rapist?
Oh, fuck. No, that's Kavanaugh. I got some Kavanaugh. Okay. Let's check in with President Trump. Oh, there he is. Always up to no good, as usual. Here.
I'm a friend of this planet.
That's Beto. That's an old one. All right, good. I don't know why I did any of that. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate your love and attention. Or your whatever. Leave reviews. Don't wait till. Yeah, probably not yet. It's bad. These are rough days, I think. And we'll be looking forward to having some guests coming up too. I'm going to be reaching out to people. People generally want to do stuff. It's a pain in the ass to set it all up, but it's actually a nice thing to interact with other human beings every once in a while. So we'll be doing that on this show and on Perfect Union. And that's all. All right. Good night. Take care. I love you. And see you in hell.